I have watched people do something with cars that they would never do with almost any other purchase, and the whole thing looks rational only because they have become used to seeing it. You are driving down the highway, and you end up behind a gleaming new truck with enough chrome to blind a pilot. It looks like the owner must be doing extraordinarily well. The truck costs more than many people once paid for a house. The seats probably cost more than some families have in their emergency fund, and the monthly payment would make a sensible banker wince. Now here is the part that should make you stop and think. The person driving that truck may very well earn less than you do. So the natural question is not whether that truck is nice. The natural question is how ordinary people are signing up for payments that seem to violate common sense, and why they keep doing it, even when groceries, rent, and insurance are already squeezing them. The answer is not that America has quietly become full of secret millionaires. It is not that everyone suddenly got rich. It is that the system for selling cars has become very good at turning an impossible purchase into a monthly payment that looks manageable for just long enough to get a signature. That is the trick. They no longer sell you a price. They sell you a payment. If you look at the average new car payment in America today, you are looking at numbers that would have sounded absurd not very long ago. A regular new car now often carries a payment above $700 a month. That is not a luxury toy. That is the average move into trucks and large SUVs, and you start seeing payments over $900 a month, with $1,200 no longer shocking anybody. $1,200 a month for transportation. That is not the whole cost. That is just the line item people are trained to stare at. The first mechanism that makes this possible is the length of the loan. There was a time when a car loan was 3 years, maybe 4. That world is gone. Now people stretch loans out 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, and in some cases even longer. The reason is simple. If you spread a large number across a longer period, the monthly payment looks smaller. A truck that would have forced a $1,500 payment over a short term can suddenly look affordable at $900 a month over 8 years. But you are not making the truck cheaper. You are making the trap quieter. When you extend the term, you increase the total amount of money that leaves your pocket. You are paying for the lower monthly number with time, interest, and opportunity. You are agreeing to keep writing checks long after the excitement of the purchase is gone, and long after the vehicle has stopped feeling special. In plain English, you are buying an illusion of affordability by making the final bill much worse. And it gets worse than that because a car is not a productive asset. It does not throw off cash for you. It does not compound for you. It does not become more valuable because you are patient. It falls in value often quickly, especially in the early years. So by the time a buyer gets several years into that long loan, there is a very good chance he owes more than the truck is worth. That is how people get trapped in negative equity. Now, when the owner becomes bored with the truck, or wants the newer model, or convinces himself that he needs something different, he does not walk away clean. He rolls the old debt into the next loan. He pays for a vehicle he no longer owns while borrowing again, for a vehicle he cannot really afford. He is not moving forward. He is dragging yesterday's mistake into tomorrow's contract. I have seen this pattern many times in finance. The most expensive decisions are often the ones dressed up as convenience. Then you have the promotional financing game. You will hear about 0% financing and other wonderful sounding offers. People hear free money, and their reason goes out the window. But money is never free in these arrangements. If the financing looks too good, the price is doing more of the work. Either the dealer is keeping the sticker price firm while using the financing to make you feel clever, or you are giving up some other discount you might have had. In most cases, the people who qualify for the very best financing are the people who hardly need the offer in the first place. For everyone else, interest still has its hand in the till. Then there is the most dangerous part of all, and it has nothing to do with arithmetic. It has to do with psychology. The car business long ago stopped selling transportation. It sells identity. A truck is no longer presented as a tool. It is sold as proof. Proof that you are successful. Proof that you are capable. Proof that you are the kind of person who deserves respect. An SUV is sold not as a machine with wheels, but as evidence that you are taking care of your family at the highest possible level. The whole exercise gets wrapped in emotion until the buyer is no longer deciding whether the purchase makes financial sense. He is deciding what kind of person he wants to feel like. That is the part people miss. Once a purchase becomes attached to identity, ordinary math loses the argument. A $900 payment stops being $900. It becomes dignity, reward, status, or escape. And when that happens, people will make remarkable sacrifices to defend the decision. I have watched people reorganize their whole lives around a car payment. They move into cheaper housing. They delay vacations. They stop going out. They push off other important purchases. They take second jobs. They tell themselves they are being responsible because they are keeping up with the payment. While ignoring that, the payment is what forced all the sacrifice in the first place. In some cases, the car becomes both the excuse and the burden. Someone takes on rideshare work or delivery work to generate the cash needed to support the very vehicle that created the problem. That is not freedom. That is servitude with heated seats. And a lot of people are not doing this for one vehicle. They are doing it for two or three, one payment for the truck, another for the family SUV, maybe a third for a child or for a weekend vehicle that exists mostly to help someone feel that life is going well. At that point, the household is no longer managing transportation. It is running a private depreciation business, except the business loses money every month. Then the hidden costs arrive one by one. Insurance on an expensive vehicle is not cheap. If you have a large loan on a pricey truck or SUV, you are usually carrying expensive coverage because the lender insists on it and because you have too much at risk not to. The owner who congratulates himself on getting the payment down through a long loan often has not really absorbed what the insurance line will look like over the years. Maintenance joins the party next. Modern vehicles are not simple. They are full of systems, electronics, sensors, and expensive components. When something breaks, and eventually something always does, the repair bills can be savage. A person who is already tight from the payment now starts using credit cards or personal loans to cover maintenance on the thing that was supposed to make him feel prosperous. Fuel costs complete the picture. A large truck or SUV is not shy about consuming money at the pump. The owner may already be stretching to make the payment and carry the insurance. And now he has to feed the machine as well. The total cost of ownership becomes much larger than the number he agreed to in the finance office. But because the costs hit from different directions, he rarely adds them up honestly. That is why I always like to force the arithmetic into the open. Take a $55,000 truck. Finance it for 7 years at 6%. The payment comes out around $800 a month. That feels survivable to many people, which is exactly why the deal gets done. Over the life of that loan, the buyer will pay roughly $67,000. Now add insurance, say $250 a month, over 7 years. That is another $21,000. Add fuel, perhaps $350 a month, over 7 years. That is another $29,000. Add maintenance and repair. $15,000 over 7 years is not at all crazy for a heavily used modern truck, and in plenty of cases it will be more. Now put the numbers together. You are above $130,000 over 7 years, and at the end you own a used truck worth a fraction of what you paid. This is not wealth building. This is wealth incineration. The part I find most painful is that the same household will often tell you it cannot afford to invest seriously. Yet if that same $800 a month were directed into a sensible broad index fund earning something like 8%, the money would begin to compound in the owner's favor instead of against him. After 7 years, he would not be staring at a 7-year, old depreciating truck and a pile of receipts. He would be staring at a meaningful investment account and the beginnings of financial flexibility. That is the part almost nobody wants to sit with, because it turns the conversation from, "Can I make the payment?" into, "What is this really costing my future?" When people finally see the comparison clearly, many do not like it. The truth is offensive because it implies that what looked like progress was actually a transfer of wealth from their future selves to a machine they could have replaced with something cheaper and more sensible. There is also a peculiar psychology that develops once someone commits to one of these huge vehicle payments. I think of it as a kind of captivity disguised as pride. The buyer becomes attached to the very thing that is draining him. He cannot criticize the purchase without criticizing himself. So he doubles down. He defends it emotionally. He tells himself the truck is reliable, deserved, necessary, or somehow an expression of who he is. That is how bad financial decisions get protected. They stop being decisions and become identity. Meanwhile, the dealership knows exactly what it is doing. The whole process is built to steer attention away from total cost and toward monthly pain tolerance. They do not want you thinking in terms of 7-year wealth destruction. They want you thinking in terms of, can I squeeze this into my month if I cut here and borrow there? The machinery of the sale is engineered to overcome your rational objections one by one until the payment becomes normal. Once normal is accepted, the deal is done. So when you see a person in a gleaming new truck complaining about the price of groceries, you are not witnessing some miracle of hidden wealth. You are usually looking at a carefully financed illusion. You are looking at extended loan terms, future income already spoken for, negative equity waiting in the wings, insurance and maintenance bills, not yet fully digested, and an identity purchase masquerading as practicality. I do not say this to mock the person. I say it because millions of people are walking into the same trap while believing they are making an ordinary adult decision. If you want to stay out of it, you have to start with a simple rule. Transportation should solve a problem. It should not become the problem. A reliable used vehicle that gets you where you need to go is usually a financial ally. An expensive status vehicle financed far into the future is often a silent enemy. The market will not reward you for the leather seats. Your retirement account will not compound faster because the truck looks good at a stoplight. Your future freedom will not arrive sooner because your neighbors are impressed. The funny thing is that the person in the older Honda is often much closer to real wealth than the person in the brand new truck. One looks rich, the other may actually become rich. That distinction matters. Real wealth is not a payment you can barely carry. It is money that compounds. It is the ability to make decisions without a lender already owning your next 7 years. The truck in the driveway may advertise success to strangers. The investment account you do not show anyone can quietly buy your freedom. So the next time you are tempted by the giant truck, the oversized SUV, or the dealer's clever monthly payment math, do one thing before you sign anything: add up the full 7 year or 8. Your cost, including payment, insurance, fuel, repairs, and what that monthly money could become if invested instead. That number is the truth. And once you have seen the truth clearly, the sensible used car starts to look a lot less like compromise and a lot more like intelligence.